Welcome to yet another edition of our show here, the Phil Taylor Jones Show. We're glad to have you with us as usual. You know, I got to thinking about this decision 2016 thing, and the more I think about it, the more ludicrous and laughable it gets. I guess before we go on into decision 2016, we got to take a look back at what happened in the last decision that was made. I'm Phil Taylor Jones, your host, and let's jump on this laughable decision making right now. You know, when Mr. Obama was elected president for the second term, he continued on his crazy, ludicrous behavior, ignoring the Constitution, going his own way, making stupid deals, and all the stuff that made America not like him very much. Well, of course, he still has his followers, but the vast majority of Americans, when asked, would say, yeah, he's probably the worst president in history, taken over far and away from Jimmy Carter. Well, as you know, for the past few weeks, he's been on his Asian tour again, cranking up the Air Force One, wasting up our tax dollars and jet fuel, taking an open wallet with him of our tax dollars, giving money to various, Asian countries and giving them apologies and sucking up to them, just tonguing them up. Why? The TPP. He wants to garner votes for that. He wants to garner much support because he knows here in the United States, we think it sucks. And it does. It's not going to benefit the American worker. It's not going to benefit us as Americans. So it's another one of his stinky, stupid deals. Excuse me. The guy is so shunned that he lands Air Force One over there in China. And you know the little stairs that they provide, for you to walk down. And he does his little, they didn't even provide him stairs. He had to crawl out of the little section where the mechanics or the maintenance crew goes up and services the plane. So, I mean, what does that tell you? That here he is, this big world leader, and when he lands in a big country like China, they don't even provide him stairs to come down the airplane. Well, that's what we've got as a president, which leads me on into decision 26 now. This character is on his way out, although there are rumors that he may stay if Donald Trump gets in there. He's going to barricade himself in the White House, him and his family, Michael and the kids. So I don't know if we're through with Obama yet, but let's just hope that we won't have to put up with him anymore. But now on to these other two dregs of society, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, the blonde-haired chook, the blonde-haired crook, and the orange-haired chook. They were on with Matt Lauer on, I think it was Monday. Yeah, I think it was Monday, on a Commander-in-Chief forum. Naturally, Hillary came out first, and Matt Lauer, he basically stayed on. What a tool he is. I mean, why they chose him, I will never know. This guy is weak, just like all news whores are weak. Anyway, he stayed on her emails for practically all of the time that she was on stage. And she was there, talking about different things. And it's just terrible, how Donald Trump doesn't know that much about what he's doing. And then she went on about, what she was doing with her emails and all that. And she had cleared all that up and just a bunch of hooey. So then she finally exits the stage and just shows what a total nitwit she was. Then here comes Trumpy. Whoa! So he comes out like Mr. Badass, And then he sits down with Matt. And Matt just, ask him little mamby-pamby questions so as not to offend him, so that he would incur his wrath of his fire tongue. And they got around to some of the audience members asking questions of Trump, as did they do that with Clinton. And, you would think that Trump maybe would have learned something from the old debate days when questions were. He hasn't learned a thing. He dances. In fact, he outdances Michael Jackson, which is kind of hard to do. But he outdances Michael Jackson when it comes to answering questions. Now, I think one question was asked about what would he actually do to rid ourselves of ISIS. And he said, well, I'm not going to tell you all my plans for ISIS. That's what Obama's been doing, and that's why he hasn't been effective. You don't tell your innermost secrets about what you're going to do. Now, on that score, I totally agree with the old orange-haired chook. He was right on that one. But when asked about how he would better serve our veterans and get them medical care, he gave broadband answers. Why not give answers of specificity on that? That's not like a national security question. That's a healthcare question for the people who've served our country well. So give the old 1-2 on that one, or questions like that. But he just dances around. Then he got to this bromance between he and Putin, and therein told the tale about what Trumpy is all about. He says he likes Putin. He doesn't necessarily like what he does, but then he does like what he does because he has total control over his country, and he's a good leader, and yada yada, and just banging on the tom-tom and screaming for Putin, Vlad, he's our man. This guy is a dictator. This guy, Vladimir Putin, he does not necessarily care about the human rights of others. He just is like a bull in the china shop. He goes through and wrecks and, tears up the thing. Look at what he did in Crimea. Look at what he did in the Ukraine. Two still kind of unstable places. The guy is a dictator. He's former KGB. I do what I want. You do what I say. If you don't, in the Huskow. Get in there. That's the way this guy is. And for an American leader to pay such homage to such a crude, rude dude kind of sends up red flags. But yet, there are his worshipers that will go on blindly and worship him right down into the bowels of hell. There are Clinton supporters that will follow her down into the bowels of hell. And you think, with these two charlatans in there, what good could possibly come of it from us? They're rich. They care about the rich. They're only for the rich. They don't care about us. It's been proven time and time again. Look at Trumpy. That guy is involved in just about as much scandal as Hillary Clinton. I don't know that he's committed any murders or anything. Maybe they'll fall out of the closet after a while. But let's look at his tax records. The guy will not relent. He has lied to the American public about, I can't release them until the IRS is done with a boulder dash. You can release your tax records. And what strikes me as weird, which makes me want to kind of believe old Hillary Clinton, not that I would ever really do it, but even a broken clock can be right twice a day. If you notice Trumpy, he's always talking about the poll numbers. The poll numbers say this, and the numbers say that, and the numbers that we crunched numbers and they said this. The numbers. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Well, tax records have numbers on them, do they not? But I guess maybe he might be worried that what he's been saying and what the tax records may show doesn't necessarily follow the attributes of equalization. Donations he's made or claims he's made may not show up to be so on the tax records. How much money he's made may not show up on the tax records. And there he'll sit with egg on his face. Now, one thing we know Donald Trump is good at: promoting Donald Trump. Nobody in the world better. It has come to light that maybe he isn't the most successful businessman that he claims he is. He has backtracked on a lot of the way he does business. He sort of rents out his name to people, let them take all the risk, and if it comes up to a good thing, then his name is on it. So, you know, it makes you think. When asked the hard questions about domestic policy, foreign policy, and all that, he just spins the same rhetoric. Well, it's going to be great. What we're going to do is going to be awesome. It's going to be just huge. It's going to be terrific. Yada, yada, yada. The same old crappy stuff. Here's what I'm thinking. You know his buddy Mike Pence? If he should get to the White House, I believe to my very soul that Mike Pence will be running the country and he'll be taking whatever credit is coming towards him in a good way for that. The guy doesn't know what he's doing. I think he surprised himself when he even got this far. I can't wait to see the debate on the 26th. And like I said, if he gets it to go his way, and he gets Gary Johnson, who is a total tool. They asked the pitiful mess, what's the name of that place? Aleppo. They asked him, thanks, exec. They asked him, what about Aleppo? What's that?
What is Aleppo?
What's that? I mean, come on. Aleppo has been in the news for I don't know how many months, let alone years. They're fighting over there. They're tearing the place apart. What's Aleppo? The guy, what do you have, brain freeze? So yeah, this guy's a total nitwit. But if he gets him on stage along with Jill Stein, then it'll go good for him, meaning old Trumpy, because then he can hide in full plain sight and let Hillary go at Jill Stein and Johnson, and then he'll come in with a big thing, and then people, oh well, Trump won the debate. No, he didn't, because he stood there mute like he did for the primary debates for anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes. But it's going to be very, very interesting, and even more so if it's just Trumpy and Hillary, because she's going to destroy that guy. They're going around talking about she's scared. She's scared of what? She's got Soros in her back pocket. He's bankrolling her. She's got all these other people, including the Muslim Brotherhood and all these other people bankrolling her, and she's got the damn thing rigged. What's she afraid of? Come on. Anyway, she's going to destroy this guy on the debate stage. I just know it, because if you looked at him the other night with just he and Matt Lauer, it was kind of awkward at times, and he's just still staying on his same old rhetoric that he's been using since, way back from when he first broke his candidacy. This Hillary woman, although she is a total crumb, a total sleazoid, she knows how to debate. And she was very leery of having Marco Rubio get the nod, because she fears that he's a better debater than she is. But this Trumpy fella, forget it. He can't debate his way out of a paper bag. He's a good attacker. Now, if it comes down to the attack, then he might win. But if it comes down to a regular debate, which would show that he is very well versed on what he needs to be well versed on to be our leader, our commander-in-chief, no contest. He's going to flub, because if you don't have the skill, you just don't have the skill. And this poor fella, help him. 70 years old, she's 68. It's going to be very interesting to see what these two goofballs do. You got anything before I laugh myself into a tizzy over here? What a bunch of goofballs.
Well, a lot of people, speaking of goofballs, are not liking Matt Lauer's job that he did. A lot of people are saying
he's a tool.
This guy named Norman Ornstein on Twitter said, "It is amazing. Lauer interrupted Clinton's answers repeatedly to move on. Not once for Trump. Tough being a woman running for president." He's getting basically grilled for the job he did. There's an article in the New York Times that kind of describes what happened pretty well. Get to the right part here. Okay, granted 30 minutes with each candidate. This is a certain section, not the beginning. Each candidate who appeared back-to-back at the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum in Manhattan. Mr. Lauer devoted about a third of his time, as you alluded to, with Ms. Clinton, to questions about her use of The private email server then seemed to rush through subsequent queries about weighty topics like domestic terror attacks. Not to start off, a person running for president shouldn't have to personally themselves, not asked by Matt Lauer, but personally herself, started off by explaining and defending herself about these email servers. She claimed that the headers on the emails didn't have anything about confidential up on there, and then we saw in another article somewhere that there was two brackets, the square-looking parenthesis-like things, if you don't know what brackets are, and a lowercase c, if I'm not mistaken, in there. That stands for confidential. And she claimed those headers were not there at all, and I believe she saw that she didn't know what the little C bracket thing meant in some article, and now she's saying those headers weren't there at all, so she's lying back and forth. But I said that to say this: anyone that's running for president in a public forum should not have to go in there and defend themselves as to start off their thing. That's ridiculous. And also on the Trump side of things, the Trumpy side of things, well, I'm not going to jump forward. Let's stay on Clinton for just a little bit more. Let's see here. Well, he did say something about him interrupting her and telling her, here it is, briefly as you can, was one of the several moments when the anchor spoke over Mrs. Clinton to remind her that her time was running short, didn't let her finish her questions. Well, now on to Trump. There was a lie about the Iraq War, drawing particular ire, if I said that right, I-R-E is the word, okay, I said it right, was the moment when Mr. Trump asserted with his usual confidence, I was totally against the war in Iraq. In fact, Mr. Trump initially said he supported the war, a point that Mrs. Clinton had raised earlier in the evening, citing an interview that Mr. Trump had given to Howard Stern, but Mr. Lauer left the assertion unchallenged, zipping along to his next question about Mr. Trump's professed tendency to say things you later regret, which is another truth. It's bad as a job as he did. It's true that you don't need a president that doesn't say things properly and later regrets them. Of course,
he's a trash mouth.
Of course, he defended himself. He says that I just regret it. I didn't actually make a mistake or whatever. But there's a lot of different fact-checking that he didn't do. Someone said, journalists and longtime political observers pounced on Matt Lauer. How in the hell does Lauer not fact-check Trump lying about Iraq? This is embarrassingly bad, wrote Tommy Vitor, a former aide to President Obama. Glenn Kessler, the chief fact-checker at the Washington Post, posted a link to NBC's check of Mr. Trump's claim and wrote, at Matt Lauer, I guess it's a Twitter thing, should have been prepared to do this. This is ridiculous. He did do a good job, and to not have Jill Stein up there as well, since she's a presidential nominee. Any nominee should be the one up there, But speaking of her, hopefully that will happen soon. If you saw in our last show, there's only 559 more signatures needed for the petition to open the debates, regardless of Trump wanting them to be in the debates, or he wouldn't be there. But
he may not be able to force their hand, because this administrative board over that presidential debates, they're still going to hang true to that 15% on the polls, and if she doesn't have it, he may not be able to force her hand. Mm-hmm. He's going to be sick because he's going to know he's in trouble.
Mm-hmm. New York Times article goes on to say Mr. Lauer did manage to extract several head-turning statements from Mr. Trump. He confronted Mr. Trump with a crass Twitter message from 2013 in which the future candidate suggested that sexual assaults in the military were a logical result of men and women serving together. Now, here's my opinion on that. And while it may be true that that's logical, that it can happen, that does not make excuses for it happening. He should have elaborated on that and say this is a logical result of men and women being there, but I don't condone it. But he didn't say that, and Trump replied, that's a correct tweet. Men
and women, they're going to boink each other where they want to. Oh, boy. What?
I'll just finish this off with the ending statement that they have. If Mr. Lauer, who was passed over to host a debate in favor of his NBC colleague Lester Holt, was seeking a piece of the moderator experience, he got it, warts and all. But, this is really crazy that the people that, like I said, are forced down our throats, and that people are just I got the wrong word here, complacent with. How can you be complacent with two crooks, basically? All these lawsuits against Trump and all these murderers and email scandals with Clinton, and she claiming that she didn't know about the headers. That was ridiculous. If you're going to make a statement that you didn't know the C meant confidential and then say that the headers weren't even existent, it's ridiculous.
But she's the most qualified to run the White House and be the president.
Yeah, she can say that Trump is categorically unqualified, yet she thinks because of that she's qualified. You're just as equally unqualified yourself.
If she's qualified to run the White House, then this little frog is qualified to run the White House. But no, what you say is true. Matt Lauer, he needs to stay on the Today Show. He can barely handle that. Look at the debacle he made while interviewing Ryan Lochte of Olympic fame, for the debacle he made over there in Rio de Janeiro. They treat Trumpy, they treat Hillary with kid gloves and all of this kind of stuff. What we're trying to find out at this late date, there are less than 60 days, I guess now, until we choose our next president. I don't give a fat rat's patootie about her damn emails. This is the time now when you ramp up questions geared towards their actual day-to-day operations in the White House, the day-to-day operations of what they're going to do to get our economy rolling again, to get our morale up, to help our veterans, to help our fighting personnel that are currently fighting these dumb wars, how to end these dumb wars, how to get that national debt down. So many things that we need to do in our country. We need these people to address those items. We already know about the murders that she's committed, or the murders that she had something to do with, or all the crookedness, stealing out of the White House to the tune of $200,000. We know all about that. We know about Trumpy's bankruptcies and his not wanting to turn over his tax papers, and his crazy wife plagiarizing Obama's wife's speech and all that crazy. We know about all of these things that are done by these two charlatans, these two inept buffoons. If they are going to take the debate stage, I would hope that they would get somebody in there, and I'm not too sure about this Lester Holt fella either, that are going to stick to the issues and, challenge these two idiots. Make them really come clean about what it is they need to do to get this country rolling again. Not spend so much time on past garbage. But that's the news media for you. They're going to be the whores that they are. And what can you do about it? Anyway, we're keeping an eye on it for you. Decision 2016. You know who our choice is for the candidacy of president. That is Jill Stein. This woman has the heart of a lion, and she shows it in everything she does. Like I said, Hillary or Trumpy may come up doing things just because they want to be president now. This woman, Jill Stein, has been out there priming the pump and doing what she needs to do for what she believes in for decades. Why? Because she believes in it, not just because it's expedient to do so. So Jill Stein is our person. She is getting on the radar. We just hope that she gets on the radar enough so that it will garner many more votes for her and put her right on into the White House. We need her. We don't need Trumpy. We don't need Hillary, because they're both charlatans. They're both crooks. They're both angels with dirty faces. We need somebody in there with a clean face. We need somebody in there that is neither Republican or Democrat. They've screwed us over for years, and I'm tired of being pushed around by these two idiot, greedy political parties. So let's try something new. Let's try Jill Stein. Let's go green. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be mad. I want to be green and happy, or at least content that somebody is in there fighting for our needs and putting what needs to be put back in our hands. That's Jill Stein. So, Jill Stein 2016. And try to stay happy and keep a smile on your face. And you know what's going on in this world with this la craziness. So try to stay safe and sane. Increase the peace and dump the hate. We'll see you next time on the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Bye-bye.